Fear. Fear comes in many forms. Some fear is born out of personal experience. Trauma teaches us that some things are dangerous and to be avoided. But not all fear comes from experiences that we have ourselves. Some fear comes from deeper within. Humans are born with fewer instincts than most other creatures, but we still have them. The marks that selective pressures have left upon our species. The things that humans were better off being afraid of from the start. Megalophobia grows out of the subconscious understanding that we have of our own insignificance. To see a thing, and to know that you could never, ever, with an entire lifetime's worth of effort, do anything to change it. One person could never level a mountain, or drain the ocean. But it only takes one stray tsunami, or landslide, to kill you and everyone you know. Even if the mountain is just a pile of rocks, and the ocean is just a big puddle, their relative power over us is absolute. If you actually have megalophobia, then maybe you shouldn't watch this video. As part of this series, what I'm trying to do is make you, the viewer, feel some of the unease that I experience when I explore out of bounds in this game. I'll do that with recordings of the game, obviously, but I'll also try to stimulate your imagination. In a bad way. So, viewer discretion is advised, I guess? I will work my way up in terms of scale. First, let's look at mechs. In terms of things that can actually move and kill you in the Forever Winter, the European medium mech is the biggest that they've added to the game so far. Their footsteps shake the earth, a constant reminder of their presence to any scavs crawling through the trenches in search of water. The constant sounds of grinding metal, drowning out the comms of nearby patrols. What may be even worse than that is when the mechs stand still. There are many broken down mechs that litter the battlefields, which a scav becomes accustomed to. They make for good cover, potential refuge from what otherwise might be open ground. But sometimes you might mistake a still mech for a broken one, until it moves just a bit. I read online that statues can sometimes induce megalophobia, so let's take a look at some of the local art installations. The statues in Scrapyard Nexus appear to be depictions of Columbia, the female personification of the United States of America. One statue depicts her as a skeleton, skin, flesh, and organs hanging from her shoulders like a loose robe. Only her face remains human, unmarred, her tongue stuck out in indignation. The other statue is a depiction of her literally being torn apart by dozens of hands bursting from the wall behind her, while a skull emerges from the side of her head. These statues together may symbolically depict the death of the United States, torn apart from within by its own rotten skeleton, leaving only Columbia's pretty face atop a shambling specter of death. Stairway Gate contains even larger and more disturbing statues, such as the giant chains that appear to be composed of linked human hands, and the gigantic faces that loom over you like the insignificant insect that you are. The faces have their eyes closed, but they look as though they could open them at any moment. Automatonophobia is the fear of humanoid figures, especially those that look almost real, or look like they are about to move. And there are quite a few things in the Forever Winter that I think were specifically designed to look this way. Mothers of Courage, for instance, very much have the look of walking statues, especially in the rain. And the way they slowly shamble towards you is somewhat unnerving. But the most disturbing statues I have found are the ones hiding out of bounds. North of the frozen swamp, there is a massive wall adorned with gun emplacements that towers over the dead forest land. But if you make the long journey around the wall, you will find something strange. After traveling around the immense structure, I came face to face with another injection well. This one looked older, far more rusted, as though it had been abandoned decades ago. Honestly, I don't even know how these things are still standing. I tried to walk beneath it as little as possible, for fear that some part of it might spontaneously fall out and crush me. Eventually, I passed under one of the many giant smokestacks. A confluence of pipes blocks out the sun entirely, creating large areas of permanent darkness. As I continued, I looked up, and gradually in the distance, I saw it. A massive profile of a human face, slowly revealing itself through the naked trees. I was transfixed, and I continued towards it. I finally reached it, after hours of walking. It hovers over the landscape menacingly, not supported by any visible structure. The face appears male, although it is covered in what appear to be strange cords or growths. I venture underneath it, fascinated by how it stays afloat. And suddenly my imagination faded away, and was replaced with a feeling of dread. Perhaps this was a place that I was not meant to be. I returned the way I came, paranoia beginning to take over my entire body. Why had I been so drawn to the face? I gave no consideration to how long it would take me to get there, or what danger there might have been. And then I looked up and froze. Before me, in the distance, there was another face. I must have passed right underneath it, but I never turned around to see that it was there. This face was just as large as the other, and it grew unnaturally out of the side of the giant smokestack. It looked more feminine, and with one eye strangely illuminated. I gathered my courage and continued forward. I would have to pass beneath it again to escape this place. I try not to look at the face as I walk, but my eyes are drawn to it, as they were to the other. Suddenly my blood runs cold. The illuminated eye of the statue slowly begins to open, revealing an iris and a pupil. The eye looks left, right, up, down, then settles directly upon me. The face slowly shifts into a slight grin. I fall to my knees, knowing now for sure that this was a place I should never have come, and now I would never leave. Megastructures are everywhere in the Forever Winter. No matter where you go, there is always at least one impossibly large thing nearby to remind us how insignificant we are. Just looking up at the walls that hold up Stairway Gate makes me wonder how and why such a thing was built. Most of the megastructures feel like that. What technology allowed for the construction of such things? And why were they even built in the first place? An immense building is visible from Scrapyard Nexus, although it lies far beyond the boundaries of the level. However, this same structure exists at Elephant Mausoleum, and this one is not floating in the void. Let's talk about another type of fear. A fear that isn't recognized as a clinical phobia, but one that I think basically everyone has. The fear inherent to one's own imagination. The mind can conjure horrors far beyond what we are likely to experience in the world, or even in video games. Fear is at its most potent when the natural fears that were bred into us by nature and the intellectual fears that we create to torture ourselves converge. I awake. There is a strange structure on the horizon. It looms above the rocks and dirt that surround me in all directions. Looking at it makes me feel anxious, so I turn away, only to find that I am somehow still facing the structure. No matter which way I turn, the structure is always there, sitting on the horizon. Eventually, I accept my fate and begin to move. In what direction, it does not matter, for no matter what direction I face, towards the structure is the only direction that I can walk. The anticipation builds within me, and I begin to run. I do not know why. Logically, I should try and stay away, but deep down, I know there is no escape. I have finally reached the structure. I don't know how long it took me to get here. It towers above me. I have to crane my neck uncomfortably to see the top. A compulsion wells up within me. I approach the building, reach out my hand. I step forward. I pass right through. Suddenly I am plunged into darkness, so I turn on my rig light. But then I notice the unnatural glow above me. I look up and my body freezes, my thoughts spinning. This isn't right. Something about this place is wrong. I turn, and I try to pass back through the wall, only to find that, although the wall is now invisible, it is as solid as stone. There is no escape. I grope at the invisible rock in disbelief, panic mounting, and then I hear it. The sound of breathing. Something lurks above. Something massive. I can hear it taking in and pushing out entire roomfuls of air. Or them. Sounds and dust now begin to fall from the holes in the ceiling. Something is descending. Something hungry. I cover my ears and close my eyes. Hopefully the end will come quickly.